Okay, it's right at 3:50 p.m. East African time. So we got an event scheduled today on how a 5-year plan can help change your life right now. So we're gonna get started with what we have on our agenda. I know some people are still over on LinkedIn. We had an issue. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but it's okay. We'll go ahead and get started here on this side of things. So with that being said, my name is Ethan Brisby. I'm going to be your host for the day, and we're going to be discussing the topic, as I mentioned before, how a 5-year plan can help change your life now. All right. So here's the way we're going to go over today's event. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Shift Enterprise Academy. And I'm also going to tell you just a small bit about myself, and then we're going to dive right into the topic about a 5-year plan. Because I think it's so important to be able to know where we're going and to have a direction for what we're doing in our lives. So let's jump right into it. All right, before we get rolling, I like to start with what I call a do first. This kind of gets your mind into the mode of what we're doing today, kind of get you into the learning mode. So the do first is this. What would you do with your life if you knew it were impossible to fail? What would you do with your life if you knew it were impossible to fail? So we'll take about 2 or 3 minutes for you just to think about that. Just kind of ponder that thought. What would you do with your life if you knew it were impossible to fail? Take a few more moments just to think about that, and we're going to just keep rolling. What would you do in your life if you knew it were impossible to fail? And this is very important to think about, because when you get to the point where you're planning for your future, literally you are the orchestrator of all the possibilities. So I'll give you about 20 more seconds, kind of really genuinely think about that question. Anything we do at Shift, we always say you get out of it exactly what you put into it. So really think about that. So I'll give you maybe a good 10, 15 more seconds to really add some details to what you've already thought. What would you do with your life if you knew it were impossible to fail? All right. So with that being said, let's get rolling. That's our do first. Hopefully your mindset is where it needs to be for this program. So let me briefly tell you a little bit about what is Shift Enterprise Academy. For those of you that maybe this is your first time being with us, Shift Enterprise Academy, essentially what we are is we are a open access learning management program. We want to make sure people have the opportunity to learn some skills, traits, qualities, a way of thinking that will help shift their mind to get them from where they are now to where they want to be in the future. So we help people get from where they are now to where they want to be in the future. And so our programs are this. We have three main programs. One is called Launching into E-commerce, which is held quarterly. People meet for 5 weeks for 1 hour a week. We have 15 participants per cohort. And what Launching into E-commerce does is it helps people understand how to leverage the internet, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, automation, big data, things like that. How do you leverage the internet to grow or start a business? We do that 4 times a year. The second program, these next two are very new. Shift Launchpad is held twice a year. So far, we've had one last December. It's a 3-day in-person boot camp designed to help people who have gone from idea to market. Now we want to help you go from market to momentum. And then our final program we just launched in April is called Shift Ventures. And Shift Ventures is designed for the most promising people that have come into the Shift community. And it looks like these people may even have a chance of going from momentum to scale. So those are the three programs that are offered via Shift. We're working on some really incredible things, such as our revamping our website, and our mobile application will be available in January. And so we envision it being a place where people can come to day after day after day to really internalize what the Shift approach is. So definitely follow us on socials and check our website frequently for more and more updates. Some of the features and benefits for being affiliated or a part of Shift. There are one, You have to bring your own energy. Whatever it is we're doing, whatever we're about, whatever's going on with something related to shift, make sure you bring your own energy. It's not a place that you come to and say, man, I sure hope that, sure, we want you to be inspired, but we want you to walk into the door, come into the event already full of joy, already having some energy. And if your energy is low, at least bring what you have, okay? Bring your own ideas. These are some of the things that we ask people that join Shift or that are part of our community. Have your own idea. You bring an idea and we'll help you add value to it. Just again, tell you a little bit more about Shift. Again, I always say this, you'll get out of it exactly what you put into it. It's very, very important to understand that about not only Shift, but about life. You will only get out of it what you put into it. So if you think life is not fair, it's probably because you're not working hard enough. So what we're doing here at Shift is building a community, which is encouraging people to, again, have a mindset shift, one that will help you to adopt the mindset of a champion, someone that can overcome adversity and defeat, someone that understands the process, that's in love with the journey, because the journey is the reward. And so we're building a community of like-minded people that are about that life. All right, so we're going to jump into our session in just a moment. Last thing I want to do is tell you a bit about myself. My name is Ethan Brisby. I'm an African-American entrepreneur who's resettling in East Africa. I'm the founder of Shift Enterprise Academy, and I've been educated by two of the finest institutions in all the world. One being Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, where I studied urban studies. The other, Texas A&M University, where I have a master's degree in land and property development. So real estate is my vocation. Teaching and operating Shift is something I do surely for the love of being able to be involved and impact people's lives. I've been engaged with leadership, project management, business development for over 15 years. So my story, as we now transition into 5-year planning, I want to start with a story. My story is this, as it relates to how a 5-year plan changed my life. And it changed it immediately once I began to understand the magic of planning and laying out where I'm going, but I also understand that it takes a lot to do it. In 2001, my first semester of university, failed every single class. I failed every class. I dropped out of college. I had a child within 10 months of dropping out of college. My father has been, in prison all my life, so just giving you these details and facts about the life that I've led so that you can understand that if I can do this, anyone can do it. But it was about 6 years later that I went back to college in 2007, and I took a class, my very first semester, called Strategies for Success. Strategies for Success, the class that I took. My very first semester of being back enrolled in school. And one thing we had to do was create a 5-year plan. And this absolutely changed my life because I got the chance for the first time ever to decide what it was I wanted to do. Before then, I was just always following in the footsteps of people that have come before me, listening to my grandparents, my mother, and my uncles, and whatever they thought I should do. But when I created a 5-year plan, the only person that had the pen at that time, the only person that knew what was in my mind at that time is me. And so these are some of the results. After I created the 5-year plan, I went on. One of the things that I said I wanted to do was graduate from college. And so I did that in 2010, became the first person in my family to graduate with a college degree. And so that was a part of my 5-year plan in 2007. Another thing that was a part of my 5-year plan, I love writing, put on the plan. I said, I want to publish a book. And it just sort of, the process of life led me in that direction. And in 2012, I published my first book called 5 Proven Strategies on How to Pay for College. It's right at 350. My bad. So again, what I'm doing here is showing you about what a 5-year plan did for me. And then I want to tell you about some of the aspects that you can utilize to make it work for you. I graduated also from Texas A&M University, which was specifically something that I put into my 5-year plan 5 years before when I actually said it. I actually had to go back in 2022. There was one finer detail to get the last part of my degree done, but I did complete the program in 5 years. So again, let's stay with me here. I want to show you how making this plan guided my behavior. So those things I just said, they all happened within 5 years. But everything else in my plan happened after the 5-year point was set. And so the good thing about having a plan is that even if you don't do the thing in the time period that you're giving yourself, you're being guided because I said I wanted to begin purchasing real estate within 5 years. I didn't. I did it in the 6th year. I wasn't mad about that. I did it in the 6th year, and that was still a great thing. Another thing that was in my initial 5-year plan was I wanted to run for public office. It didn't happen within the first 5 years. It was actually within the first, 7, 8 years. And so I did. I ran for public office back in my hometown of Bryan, Texas. I thought government was the way to make impactful change in the world. So I wanted to run for public office. And I said that even before I ever knew how to run. I didn't know how politics really worked, but I set this goal and my path began to be cleared during the years that led up to being able to run for office. And of course, one of the best things that came out of that 5-year plan is that I was able to create the shift approach. And the shift approach actually is what came out of pursuing the goals. The shift approach that we teach here is literally me accomplishing the things in my 5-year plan. I had to become a different person. So we're going to get into that right now about some of the things that will help you. So our objective for the day is this. And so I've just told you a bit about shift. I've told you a bit about myself and how a 5-year plan helped to change and elevate my life to where I'm currently now resettling in East Africa. Because once I began to chop down those goals about how I wanted to go about generating this 5-year plan and setting goals, and I started to see it was working, I just kept making more and more plans. I just kept moving the goalposts. What about the next 5 years? What about the next 1 year? What about a 25-year plan? I now have what I call a legacy plan in place, which is a 25-year plan that it's not, I don't live a perfect life, but I always know where I'm going. So today's objective is this. The objective is to begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. That's our objective. And so that's a quote or a chapter that comes from a book that is called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so let's start here by answering the question, what is a 5-year plan? What is a 5-year plan? So when you think about that, it's what it sounds like. But on a deeper level, what are you doing when you cast this vision for a 5-year plan? What are you doing when you do that? And so essentially, for those of us who are involved in the realm of spirituality or you follow the Bible tells us that my people perish for lack of vision. So a 5-year plan allows you to decide what kind of life you want to build from where you are now, whether you're at a low point or a high point. Maybe you're a medical doctor. Maybe you're a student. Maybe you are someone in Uganda who wants to build some type of business that's going to go on and impact the lives all over the country or the region. Maybe you're in Nairobi. Maybe you're in Accra. Maybe you're in New York City. Wherever you are, whatever point of life you're in, maybe you're a PhD who lives in $1 million home. You still have to continue casting a vision for the life that you want to build. And that's what a 5-year plan is. It puts the pen in your hand and it becomes your guiding light. Because again, what happens when you have this idea of where you're going, no matter what happens, whether the ups and downs, the highs, and when COVID happens, when your dog dies, when your father gets sick, when you lose your job, whenever the business doesn't grow the way you thought it should, you still have a guide. Just go back to what you said you were going to do and start from there with carrying forward. Having a plan doesn't, of course, make life, simple. It just simply allows us to have a point to pick up where we left off. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have bad weeks. You're going to have bad months. You may even have a year that's just completely off. But as soon as you begin and you heal and you can pick yourself back up, you continue to begin to do the things that allow you to get where you want to be by creating your own reality. So often here on the continent of Africa, since I've been here, been coming back and forth for about 2 years, I see people that want their life to mirror the life of people in the Western world. And this isn't every single person, but it's very common for the life of people in America or in Europe to be the ideal reality that people want to live in. And so what I'm challenging you today, especially those people that are listening from the continent, is when you create a 5-year plan, you get to create the reality that you want, even in your own country. And another lesson we teach is a mastermind alliance. You build with other people. And if your reality you want to create is to go to Europe or the US or other countries, so be it. But by creating a plan and building and thinking big, you can also create the reality that you may want to have here in your own country. So we're just going over a few ideas of how having a plan, sitting down and deciding where you want to go is very important, because many people, they say, YOLO, you only live once, just living for today. And so think about it. If God gives you 70, 80 years on this earth, I think you could be better off by deciding what you're going to do with that time versus just taking whatever comes to you. Because many times people say, I just whatever I can get, I just whatever I can get. And that's why we don't always get the best. We don't always get what we want because we sometimes have a hard time being specific about what we do want. What having a 5-year plan also does for you is it allows you to rise above what the statistics say. At the time when I set my plan, I was a college dropout. Well, I had just returned to college, but I had previously dropped out of college. I'd had a son at a very young age, so I was an unwed father. My father was actually in prison. He was in jail. So the statistics say for an African-American male that has that as his storyline, I should also be in jail. I also should be someone that would have to work, a low wage job because of the statistics. Many of the statistics say that a young Ugandan girl or a young Kenyan girl living in Meru won't be able to attain a high level of success in this life just based on societal norms. But when you have the propensity and the audacity to dream and set a vision and make a plan, it helps you to rise above what the statistics say about it. This is why having a 5-year plan can help change your life today. And I'm going to show you in a moment. This is just a 30-minute power session. We're going to be together for maybe another 10 minutes, and then we're going to get out of here. Another thing that happens is that you can solve societal issues in a personal way, especially on the continent. The continent of Africa has been a place where, and specifically places that I know more specifically are Uganda and Kenya. And these are places where outsiders can come and do come, and they're able to make, good money and alter the way of that society and state what's acceptable, and people just take it. But for the dreamer, for the leader, for the person that has a plan, you in your own space, your own community can help solve the issues in your village, amongst your family in a more personalized way. Because many times if people come from other cultures, they're imposing their will and their way on your way of thinking. And so, but what I'm challenging you to do is to decide what the future will look like so that someone else doesn't have to come and tell you what the future is. And of course, when you do that, you get to blaze a path for those people that will come after you. The Bible tells us that a good man will leave an inheritance for his children's children and houses for his children. So if you want to achieve some level of mobility, you want your children in the next phase of your lineage to live a better life, you can start that by committing to a plan. And today we're talking about a 5-year plan. One of the most important areas that you can and will see results are as you evolve into the person who will live the life you want to live. Somebody might think that having a plan is magical and things just happen for you. But what I've learned over a period of 10 or 15 years of continually pursuing my goals and dreams is that the real reward, the real thing that's happening is that I'm evolving into the person that will publish that book that I wanted to publish. I'm having to evolve and develop the type of discipline that a person who is able to enjoy a good career in real estate, buying and selling properties, what kind of life that person has to live. Because chances are, if you don't have the life that you want now in certain areas, it's because you have to get better. Maybe you're not better. Maybe you don't take enough care of your body. Maybe you're not reading the right books. Maybe you're not hanging around the right people. So a 5-year plan demands that you evolve into the person who would live that life that you want to live. And so the last thing I'll say is this, is that you have to be prepared to put in the equivalent level of work. Whatever, if you want a Lamborghini, if you want a lakeside mansion, on in the Indian Ocean, if you want to travel and see the whole world, that's fine. People are doing that stuff right now. There's nothing new under the sun. Whatever your goal, you want to go to the moon, by all means. People are doing those things right now. So there's nothing you can think of that goes beyond the realm of possibilities. The only thing is you have to be prepared to put in the equivalent level of work. The law of compensation says you will get out of a thing what you put into it. So whatever your goals and plans that you set for your vision are, we just have to know, we then have to be prepared. Of course, some people will have better tools and resources to reach their goals than you have. Some people will have more support than you have. And so we can spend our time complaining about the fairness of life, or we can continue putting in the work to get to where we say we want to be. And so that's what having a 5-year plan makes you decide. Where will you stand? Where are you going to stand? And so you always have to be getting better. You always have to be getting better. You always have to be reading. You always have to be learning. You always have to remain disciplined. You have to continue evolving. And so this quote here, always sharpen your axe, goes with a story that I won't tell today in lieu of time. But essentially what it says is always be getting better, because the way of the master is the way of the student. Because a master is no more than a student. A master is always improving in his or her craft. And that's how he or she is known as a master. And so we touched on this earlier. What kind of person would live this kind of life? You have to ask yourself that question, as you cast your vision and think about where you want to go. What kind of person starts $1 million business? What kind of people do that? I have studied the people that are doing the things that you're saying. Someone once said that success leaves clues. So what kind of person is able to live this life that I'm saying I want to live? And then you need to personalize it. You don't want to just mimic what someone else is doing. Personalize it, but then become that person. Okay? And so the three areas that have worked most for me, because it's all about the journey. Remember that. As soon as you accomplish something amazing, the next thing you have to do is accomplish something else amazing. And once you do that, you guessed it. The next question is, well, what do you do next? And so with that being said, what I've learned to appreciate are the basics. The basics always help get you through to the next level. And for me, that's taking care of my mind. Am I reading? What am I listening to? Is my mind healthy and strong? Am I giving myself enough rest at night? My body, am I working out? Am I stretching? Am I eating properly? Am I drinking enough water each day? In the spiritual realm, am I able to meditate? Do I give myself time to visualize where I'm going? Do I unplug from this fast-paced world so I can hear my thoughts? This is so critical when you think about not setting goals, because anyone can do that. A 10-year-old can set a goal just like a 30-year-old. But what probably is going to separate that 30-year-old from the 10-year-old is discipline, mind, body, and spirit, the total package. I believe firmly to excel in the higher echelons of life. And I say that as someone who has seen some success based on my ideas, taking good care of my mind, my body, and my spirit collectively over a 36-month, 30 days, 6 month, 1 year, 5-year time period. And we're not going to, perfection is not needed, but consistency is. So here's how you begin as we close out this session. The way that you start is you start with the facts. How old will I be in 5 years? Will I be married? Where will I live? right? The basic who, what, where, when, why. Start out with these types of facts that just you can easily, it's a low-hanging fruit, and describe it with as much detail as possible. And then as you cast your vision for both your career and your personal life, begin with the 5-year point. 5 years from now, what is this? 2023, 2028, September. How old will you be? Where will you be living? How much money will you be making? Realistically, what will you, how much? And the way you figure out how much money you're going to be making, figure out how much money you need. If you're buying a home, if you're, you know, your monthly bills, and we'll go into that in the next session with strategic planning. Back your way in from 5 years. What does this look like in 1 year? This vision that I've cast. What does this look like in 6 months from now? In 30 days, how can I begin the process of attacking what I'm saying I'm moving toward? And then you start marching, knowing that you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Okay, so that's the beginning phase of how having a 5-year plan can change your life today. Okay, if you enjoyed this, visit shiftenterpriseacademy.com, join our mailing list. We send out weekly updates, weekly, motivational things, and you also can be in the know of when our next events are happening. I also encourage you, if you'd like to work with us, if you say, hey, Ethan, this is really good, but I really want some one-on-one training. I really would like to be able to engage and have my own crafted session. We can figure out a way to do that, whether it be for an individual or for an entity that works with youth and young adults, or a corporate entity that would like some sort of training. Reach out to us. Let's see what we can create that's a win-win situation for both of us. Okay, so definitely join us tomorrow as well. I know this is a live session on our YouTube channel right now, but we were planning to host this on our LinkedIn, but we'll be back here on our YouTube channel, I believe, tomorrow. Our next session is called Strategic Planning as a Way to Enter into Your Next Level. And if you're watching the replay of this, I would encourage you to go ahead and go right on over to that, because it's going to feed into what we just talked about, which is backing into a 30-day point. That's when you get into strategic planning after you cast your vision. So I would also add that feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat related to this particular session, and we'll monitor it and come back and respond accordingly to the things you've said. But for now, to go to our website, join our mailing list. I hope that you've been helped and you've enjoyed this lesson, which is how a 5-year plan can help you change your life today. Thanks and have a great day.